Circe, a podcast of the Ostium Network.
Chapter 7. Agápi. I feel unable to accept the information my eyes are transmitting to my brain. What I do comprehend is that Maeve knows exactly what she is doing and has, in all likelihood, paid witness to this event, or at least a very similar one at some point in the past. We are well hidden behind some trees, as she'd no doubt planned, which would prove more than fortuitous in the near future. The bright, dense blue light floods the landscape as if an enormous bucket of blue paint has been splashed across this swath of land. A rent has been ripped through reality, a sizable opening that my mind is constantly trying to comprehend but constantly failing. I can see the surroundings of our world clearly, albeit bathed in blue. The boundaries of our trees and bushes and ground, to the left and to the right and down below. The rent stretches high into the night sky, becoming lost in the dark, the stars, and the swirling smoke of the many bonfires. Where it ends, and whether it ends, I know not. It is a great hole, a window providing visibility and insight into their world, but also theirs into ours. It is a scene from another world, most likely another time. The blue light makes this clear, but also seeing the stark differences to our own. There are 5 of them. I am uncertain if they are women or men or non-gendered or multi-gendered. They are a people I have never seen before and do not want to assume anything about them. If there is one thing I have learned in my short time in this life, it is that we can never make a hasty decision about that which we either do not understand or at least are not familiar with in some way. For that way lies error and misjudgment, and ultimately our own failing. The teachings of the Circe make this adamantly clear. The 5 beings of another world sit at a round table that is made of some silvery substance. It is bright and shimmering with almost liquid-like properties, but 2 of them have their arms placed upon it, using it as support, so I know that it is a solid object. 3 of them have long, straight black hair. The other 2 long, curly blonde hair. Their faces are a light tan. Their eyes are red. I cannot tell from my vantage point if their entire eyeballs are red, or if it is the color part of the eye. Nevertheless, I find it very unsettling, not for any particular negative reason, but because I have never seen beings such as these before. They are unfamiliar, which puts me automatically on edge, as much as I do not want it to. One must not jump to thoughtless conclusions with the unknown, but by the same token, one must not go in completely blind and not at least somewhat prepared. On your heels and ready, as Clystra likes to say. That does a good Circe make. They appear not to speak, or perhaps they have no need to. It seems they are conversing with each other in some way, perhaps through some mental transmission. Occasionally, 2 or more of them will look up at each other, then back down again as if a question has been asked, an answer given, or discussion conducted, a resolution reached. As I said, the liquid-like table is a bright silvery color, but in the very center, where all 5 appear very interested, is a smaller circle. It is a shade of blue equal to that emanating from the edges of the rift, the very color we are being bathed in. I cannot see exactly what is in this blue circle, but there is certainly something. Dark and black shapes, as if whatever is transmitting these murky images is in motion. It seems almost fruitless on my part to continue trying to understand what they are looking at. I want to stand and come closer to the rift, perhaps even pass through it somehow. I want to know what this powerful thing is, but must force myself to remain hidden behind the trees. Maeve senses this somehow. She looks at me. She is scared. Instinctively, we draw into a close embrace, sharing our warmth and our fear in solidarity. One of the beings Maeve calls elves stiffens. Then the other 4 do likewise. The first being reaches out an arm, pointing at what is revealed in the blue circle. I hold back a gasp as I finally see what is in the circle, a smaller image of the very rift we are staring into. Is this the same rift? A question that comes unbidden, but I push it away, knowing my mind is trying to lessen my fear. I need to remain focused and in what control I can maintain. It is the same rift, and such a thing can only have been created by immense power. Where such a power comes from and through what means, I cannot begin to fathom. If our eyes are not deceiving us, then this means the beings are looking at us somehow. So if I were to turn around, what would I see? My body does this before I realize what is happening, before I can stop myself. Maeve remains transfixed, unaware. The blue circle is much larger on this side. It is hovering there like an incorporeal being. It is blue but also transparent, and I can see through to the other side. I can see the 5 beings with red eyes looking down upon us, scrutinizing, questioning. Maeve finally turns to look where I am. I know not if these alien beings are friend or foe, but cannot risk choosing one or the other. As a Circe, I must do what I can to end this and somehow seal the rift. I half-turn back to the tree, putting my hands to its solid brown trunk. From it, I draw all the essence and life it will give me, holding nothing back, taking all. I have performed spells such as these before under Clystra's direction, on smaller trees. It results in a dead tree and falling branches. In this situation, I have not the time to be aware of my safety, nor Maeve's for that matter. I rip my hands away from the now dead and desiccated tree and fling them toward the great blue circle. The blinding white light comes first, followed by a sharp, ear-splitting crackle. The jagged beams launch from my hands, colliding with the blue circle, shattering it like a piece of brittle pottery. There is silence for a moment. Then, the death of the tree, falling asunder, landing exactly where a rift through reality is no longer. Suffice to say, the rip, the magic, and the chaotic moment are all over. The world, my world, has returned to normal. Everything is once again in balance. I turn and see this is not true.
The Circe Podcast is written and produced by Telander. The role of Thyra is performed by Arden Rachel. The role of Steve is performed by Telander. The role of Clystra is performed by Emma Sherr-Ziarko. The role of Maeve is performed by Muna Hussein. This episode was sound engineered by the talented blokes at Hail and Well Met Podcasts. If you're looking for some other shows once you finish Circe, be sure to check out their work at hailandwellmetpodcast.com. The music featured in this episode is Sunrise by Kickhat, At Rest, Satiate, Satiate Only Strings, all by Kevin McLeod, under the Creative Commons license. The Circe Podcast is a podcast of the Ostium Network. You can support Circe as well as all other Ostium Network shows by supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/ostiumpodcast, where you can get access to a whole variety of bonus material, including mini episodes for Ostium, Circe, and Manifestations, as well as the Ostium Files, and the Behind the Ostium series. You will also get access to a new Circe miniseries all about her lost love, Pragma, and behind-the-scenes episodes about Circe called Circe Confidential. Once again, that's patreon.com/ostiumpodcast. Thank you so much for listening to the Circe Podcast. This story came out of the character of Thyra, as she took me along on her journey, which is very far from over, and I'm delighted to have you all with me for the ride.